Hi, this is Henrik, and I'm here to talk to you about intelligent data management framework for Dynamics AX. Basically, the data management framework is a tool set that Microsoft provides partners and customers, and what it allows you to do from a admin point of view. So it's really not an end user tool; it's more for from end user for an administrator type on a database level tool that allows you to basically look at snapshots and how your data behaves within the database, and also allows you to do some optimization on the database from within this cockpit. There's a few things that needs to be discussed up front in regards to what this tool does and doesn't do, and how it should be used and how it shouldn't be used. So I'll just spend a few minutes now on just going through some of the prerequisites for this. Firstly, in your database on your SQL server, in this particular case, my live database here is the AX593 database, and what you need to have set up is really a key element here is this one here called AX593 Rep, or a replica. Now, the setup of this particular replica database has been done through log shipping. I'm not going into details about how log shipping is set up. The reason for that you need to have a replica database is because it's in the replica database that the data management framework will get all the statistics from, etc., etc. And the reason for that is that when you're using this tool to drill in and out around row counts and how your index behaves and statistical information, it actually can put quite a strain on that database. So therefore, it's highly advisable that you do not set up to do the analysis of your live database, but rather of the replica database. The replica database, in my instance here, is set up so it replicates every 15 minutes. The second advantage about that is that I can use my replica database to do a company restores within AX. So let's say that you have many legal entities and someone makes a mistake in one legal entity. I can actually then within AX point to this replica database and just restore that legal entity into a database. But that's a whole different session. Then what you will notice is that I also have a AX593 archive database, and I've misspelled that here, I can see that. Now the reason why we have the archive database is because the tool actually allows you to do archiving of data. So you can set up archive schedules, and it then moves that data portion from your live database into the archive database. If you now want to see the archive data, then you need to have an AX AOS instance that points to that archived database to see that data again, right? So really you need to be smart about what you want to archive. So I would really look at archiving as something you might want to do on data that's, let's say, 5-7 years old, and just archive that over there to keep your production database nice, lean, and mean, so to speak. You can also purge data from the system here. I would not recommend using purge unless that you absolutely know exactly what you're doing, and it's maybe to purge a legal entity, but you can do that from within AX. So the purging functionality is not really there, to go in and just start purging data out of the system willy-nilly, and there will come warning boxes up around that. Now let's go into the tool here that where we are. So I have basically just started the data management framework up. It's probably worthwhile just to note that this is a download from Microsoft. And basically, so you download either the 64-bit or the 32-bit version of that, and it comes through a partner guide or customer guide that you can download it, and then you just run the install. There's also links to some manuals from both an administrative point of view and how to work this tool. But again, let's just drop in and and I'll show you a few of the things here. The key thing is that when you install it up, it asks you to immediately run a production data analysis snapshot, an archive database snapshot, metadata synchronize, and master data synchronize. These have to. So if I go in here to my status, you can see here that I have run the archive analysis snapshot, then I ran analysis snapshot, I ran another analysis snapshot just within a few minutes apart here. The idea is that you run these analysis snapshots maybe once a week or every day or how often you want it. These analysis snapshots form part of the dashboard. What you also can see that I've done here, I've just defragged an index. I'll come back to that to see what that is. I then run my master data synchronization and metadata synchronization, run the health check and the ledger check. It all passes here, and it will go in on each of the schedules that you do to see what is it doing, how long does it take. So you can see here I'm actually on a fairly well, it's a 2 gigabyte database in this particular case, so you can see it can take a little while to run these things. It started here at 2:48 and finished at 16 minutes past 3. So it's not something that just happens in a split minute when you run these analyses here, but all the data is in here. Okay, so basically once you run these pre-script, it gives you a quick analysis dashboard in here. You can actually zoom in on each of the dashboards if you want to, or you can minimize them again and it will rearrange itself. So what do I immediately see? I see my top 10 tables here by row count. You can change the values of these to be top 25 if you want to. So just top 10 by data size and by index size. So if we look at data size here, we can see that data size is this EC presentation is 27% of my data size, followed by ledger trends. If you click on the color here, it will go into the analysis details, where in my case, with a ledger trends has 209,000 rows. This much reserved, data size megabyte, index size, unused, and index to data ratio. This is actually a good indication of what type of table it is. So you can see here in my case it says that actually I have 45% index versus data. Down here I can see all the different indexes that I have, index stats around how they're going, and fragmentation of them. So I can see here that one of my indexes on my ledger trends is highly fragmented. What this actually allows me to do is that when I go into fragmented tables, I can run a defrag schedule for here. So defragment index, basically click on that button, and it will put it in. So I'll just go here, defrag ledger trends. Notice that this is just one of the indexes. I can specify is this one time only or whether you want to, have a schedule around it. I'm just going to quickly save this. What will happen is that when my plot goes over to 11:31, in my status here will come up another schedule, basically saying that I'm running the defrag of the ledger trends. Let me just quickly go back to the analysis here. For each day that you run the snapshot, it will then give you a growth trend and an index size trend. So obviously, in my case here, I only have two indexes in, but other than that, you will see how you grow, and it will give you a good indication, how your database is performing and moving around within, and you can plan for data sizes, etc., etc. In this particular case, I'm looking at my production. I could also go in and look at my archived database to see how is that running. You know, how is my archive data running? Let me just quickly. I also have data analysis details, just like the other, and I also can go in and look at some performance data here. You know, how am I looking? Where's my database log, etc., etc. How's the setting set up for this? One of the things that I might just quickly want to do is that I might want to set up to archive some data. So what I will do is I'll go in here to configure. And in configure, I have a whole set of archiving templates. In this particular case, I've set up the sales table template. If I go in here and look at, I don't know, bank deposit as an example, load that up, then there's a template for how the bank deposit will run for as an archive. So in this particular case, it's just, you know, a single table. So let's take something that's a bit more interesting. Purchase table as an example. It shows which table will come up if I start purchasing from the sales from the purchase table. Basically saying if I do this, I will also have to purge from ledger coverage, from purge lines, table links, etc., etc. Right. So that means that when you start archiving from here, you know, it will go in and purge or archive the subsequent tables. So I'll just create one from scratch just so you can see how it's done. So I want to create an archive object. It asks for what's your driver table. In this particular case, I'm going to choose ledger journal. Actually, you can up here just key in. Right? So take my ledger journal table and I say I want to discover. Immediately it goes in and say I'm going to not include these tables here. We can go in and add to these exception tables if you want to. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say continue. What it will do now is that it will create a whole structure for me about what tables are related. And in my case, and just to show you how this works, it will take over way too much for what I want. Actually, what I wanted was really just ledger journal table and ledger journal trend as an example. Take a few minutes for it to do this as it traverses through and find out how the linking matches up. It reads this linking through the application object tree, just so that you're aware. There you go. Just wait for it to draw up this picture here. And the data can take a little while. I should have pre-cooked this. There we go. So ledger journal table related down to a million other tables in here. You can actually just, you know, move around with this hierarchy. So you can see ledger journal trend is then linked into a lot of other tables. Now what I can do is that I can quickly go in and just say, look, I know that I don't want this ledger journal trends voucher as an example. So by holding Control down on my keyboard, I can click on these tables. And what will come up is that it will then allow me to delete these tables. You can see now they come up with a little green line across. And just if you are in doubt what these lines mean, you have a legend button here, like this legend. Give it a little while here. That legend button will then show you what that means. You can see how it auto cascades down on each of the subtables. What this allows me to do is that I really just quickly want to show this letter, and I should probably just have clicked a few tables here, but that's okay. selected tables, table removed, tables missing from the production database, etc., etc. Now that I've selected these, I can right-click and say remove selected. If I say remove all occurrences, it will find the same table name in the entire structure and remove all occurrences of that, right? But basically what I'm trying to show here is that you can go in and be smart about which tables and not necessarily just trust what the system comes up with. Now we need to put up some rules. If I go in here and say save as an example, it will say, first of all, it will warn you about, improper use of this can, cause data loss, etc., etc. It will also come up and say that I don't have any rules. You don't have any rules. Oh, okay, I don't want to save them. So I say no. The important thing about rules is that this is where you can specify how do you select what needs to be archived. So I'm going to add an expression here. The expression that I'm adding is, I'll say it has to be posted. Posted journals. Okay. Okay, so archive only posted journals. So in my table name, I actually get the list of all the tables that are still in my table list. So I'll just quickly here go ledger journal table, and the field that I'm after is posted. It does help to know, how it works. I say it has to be equal, and I say yes. So that means that by doing this and save, that means that when I run the archiving of this, it will now only archive journals that has been posted. So you keep all your unposted in there. So that you can also put in date fields, etc., etc. So you can be smart about, how you want to do this. I'm just going to save this. So say yes to that. Save. What actually has happened now is that if we go into archive templates, once we are updated, it will actually Henrik's, because it works off ledger journal table, now comes up here, you can see it has a little different icon here. And that means that these are the standard templates and this is a user templates. Then basically, you can go in your schedule and you can create a new archive schedule in here. And basically what you do is you go set-based or row by row. Set-based is fastest. And you then select the rules for this, and up here comes all the different ones that we have. So ledger journal table was the one that we wanted. Posted equals yes. And you then put in the schedule for whether that just happens now, and it will then start archiving. The same goes with purge. Again, be very careful about the purging of it. Anyway, I think that will conclude what I wanted to talk about for this tool. So it's available download from Microsoft. Basically, search for Intelligent Data Management Framework, and you'll get the link from both the manuals and for the product itself. And make sure to read the installation manual carefully and clearly before you start. There's a few little setup that needs to happen, and then basically make sure to test in your test system before you start applying this to your live system. Anyway, thank you very much for your time, and feel free to call or contact either myself, Henrik Mozart at Eclipse, or Matt Calderwood at Eclipse in regards to the tool if you want help to get this installed and working. And again, remember the replication database on your SQL server here needs to be set up, and it's a good idea to set that up via log shipping. And again, we can help you with that. So yeah, thank you so much for your time, and I hope you enjoyed that.